Hey you guys, welcome back for another video on the how I do fill in the blank homeschool. Today we're going to be talking about standardized testing. This is a question I get asked a lot, is how do I do standardized testing in my homeschool? If you're new to my channel, welcome. This is a playlist that I'm continuing to add videos onto of how I do blank in my homeschool. I've been homeschooling for 7 years now, and a lot of you guys have been asking me these questions, so I got the great idea to create a new playlist on my channel dedicated to those of you who are new to homeschooling, those of you who have younger kids than me, who may be wondering how I do X, Y, or Z. Now, the standard disclaimer that I am putting on every video that I share on this playlist is this is how I do things in my homeschool. I am not telling you to do them this way, and I am also not saying that my way is better than yours. I'm simply sharing how we do things in our homeschool. So take it with a grain of salt, take it as information, only take it as opinion, whatever it might be. This is intended to be like homeschool friends having a cup of coffee together where you ask me, hey Ashley, how do you do whatever in homeschool? So I've been adding videos to the playlist regularly, so be sure to take a scroll through the playlist if you want to see any other videos on different topics regarding homeschooling. And if you have a request for a video that should go on this playlist, leave it down below in the comments here, and I will regularly comb through these comments so I can see, okay, I need to make a video about that. I have a list that is revolving, and I have about 15 videos on the list. So once the playlist is done, there'll be about 15 videos on this playlist that you'll be able to refer back to on how I do whatever in my homeschool. So today we're talking about standardized testing. Now, I first need to tell you guys that the best thing you need to do before you start homeschooling is verify your state laws. You can do this by going to the HSLDA website and making sure you have a very, very, very good understanding of your state laws and following your state's laws to a T. If they say you have to standardize test, you have to standardize test. If they say, you know, no testing is required, then no testing is required. So make sure you know what's going on in your state. So with that being said, in my state, we are not required to standardize test. And because of that, I have never standardized tested. I don't believe in standardized testing. I don't believe in teaching education or a child obtaining an education for the purpose of performing well on a test. I want my kids to enjoy learning, and I want my kids to understand things at a deeper level, and I want them to retain what they learn, not just be able to regurgitate it onto a spreadsheet and a score sheet and give me a good test score. That is not why I homeschool. So with all that being said though, as far as getting into college and things like that, there are things that require standardized testing, and also things, you know, like taking your driver's test. Things like this are on the horizon for me in my homeschool mom journey with my kids the ages they are. So I think it's important that kids do learn how to test, because there is a way to take a test and be a good test taker, and there is a way to not be. And being a good test taker isn't, you know, an actual representation of how well you know the information. It's just, do you know the answer to the test? And do you have strategies when you don't know the answer to the test? So for practice for taking a test, I actually purchased a standardized test. I believe it was from Liberty Christian, and I did that at the end of 8th grade no, 7th grade. I did it at the end of 7th grade for my daughter, just so she could have some practice of taking a standardized test. And I'll probably continue to do that with my older kids, you know, just periodically, just practice taking this test. Also, I will have them take ACT prep tests, and so that'll be something that we do in our homeschool, you know, as my kids get older and those things become necessary. But because of my state laws, we are not required to standardize test, and I do not believe in standardized testing to begin with, so it's not something that I feel is necessary to do. Now, I know someone's going to argue with me and say, well, then how do you know that your child knows the information? Well, it's very easy to know that my child knows the information when I am teaching them day in and day out, and I am watching them complete their work and their assignments and understand what they're learning and demonstrate that to me. And so I don't need a standardized test for me to verify what I already know, if that makes sense. So standardized testing also, if you look into it, has a lot to do with performance evaluation for public school educators. And so if you are a homeschooling mom, no one is, grading you other than maybe your husband or yourself. So, if you really want to take a deep dive into testing, standardized testing, why it's there, it really is not for demonstration of a child's knowledge. It has more to do with funding and teacher performance and national standards for children in education. So enlighten yourself if you're unfamiliar with any of those things, but we do not standardize test. I've never felt it necessary, and my kids are very, very intelligent, well-adjusted human beings. So I hope that this helps you guys. I wanted to share. This is a question I get asked often, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have a request for this video series, drop it here. And if you're looking for other videos on this how I do whatever in my homeschool, be sure to take a scroll through the playlist. Give me a thumbs up for helpful homeschool content like this, and I will see you all in my next video really soon. Bye, guys.
Oh, my child, I